Hello, high level listeners. We're back with another episode of High Level Listening, where we teach you how to speak natural, everyday English by comparing American and British phrases side by side.
Yes, we do. Hello, everyone. It's great to have you back. Today, we're talking about getting lunch. Lunch is the meal in the middle of the day. And like always, we'll share our own stories full of great high-level vocabulary and phrases. Kat will talk about what she did for lunch in American English. And then I'll share my story in my British accent and with my British vocabulary. And then afterwards, we'll go through the scripts once more so you can talk about your own lunchtime more like a native speaker.
As a quick reminder, you can support us right here on YouTube by becoming a High Level Listening member, and you get PDF transcripts for each episode. Or you can upgrade to our vocabulary member tier to grab picture dictionaries, study guides, and Season 4 study packs.
Yes, don't forget, we've already got more than 60 units and study guides in the High Level Listening store on PayHip. It's a great way to take your English to the next level. You can see the links to those down below. Okay, so let's get started with today's scripts, all about lunch. Kat is going to go first. What did you do for lunch yesterday, Kat?
Well, around lunchtime, I started feeling a bit hungry, just snacky, not starving or anything. I wasn't really craving anything in particular, and I definitely didn't feel like cooking a full meal either. I thought about picking something up at the store, but I didn't want to deal with going out or spending too much money. Actually, there were some leftovers in the fridge, but I wasn't in the mood to eat the same thing again. So I kind of just stood there staring at the contents of my fridge, trying to decide. Eventually, I gave up and just made some toast and called it a day.
Delicious. That's what I would do, honestly.
This
I love
happens
toast.
sometimes. You're kind of snacky. You're not really feeling like in the mood for anything in particular. So I don't know. I just made some toast.
Yeah,
That was
mate,
all I
toast can
could
be
think of.
breakfast. Toast can be breakfast, lunch, or dinner. It's the perfect
Why
snack. It's
not?
the perfect
Why
meal.
not? All right. So Mark will share his story in more of his British English. Go ahead, Mark. What did you do for lunch?
About noon yesterday, I started feeling peckish and started thinking, oh, what's for lunch? But the fridge was virtually empty and I wasn't sure what I fancied. So I decided to get something delivered. I started scrolling through some different restaurants until I found something that jumped out at me. I wasn't in the mood for fast food, so I kept looking till I saw a new place with some healthy looking grilled chicken salads. So I ordered one of those. About half an hour later, I had my lunch in my hands. It was really filling. It really hit the spot, and I felt nicely fueled up for the afternoon. Okay, so don't worry if you didn't catch everything in that first read through. We're about to go back through them again and explain and highlight the best vocabulary and expressions all about deciding what to have for lunch. We'll also mention any key differences between British and American English along the way. So, Kat, back to your side. What was the start of your story again?
Around lunchtime, I started feeling a bit hungry, just snacky, not starving or anything. So around lunchtime, around breakfast time, around dinner time. So probably for the typical American, around lunchtime would be around noon, around 12 o'clock. So around lunchtime, I started feeling a bit hungry. Okay, just snacky, just snacky. That's
I
a
was
good
ready with the
word.
flag
That's a
there.
good word. This is when you are a little tiny bit hungry or you want a little snack. So if you're feeling snacky, sometimes you don't want a big meal. You don't want something big. You just want a little snack. So this is a very American word. Mark will share his British word later. I was just feeling a bit hungry, like a little hungry, just snacky, not starving or anything. The word starving, we use a little dramatically in English. Real starving is when you have not eaten anything for multiple days or you've eaten very, very little for multiple days. But we do use this word a little dramatically to just mean, I'm so hungry. Maybe normally you eat lunch at 12 and you're hungry at 11 and you don't eat until 1 and you're so hungry, you're just starving. Oh, I'm starving. I'm so hungry. But again, we use it dramatically because that's very, very, very hungry, almost unhealthily hungry, right? You haven't been eating. So I started feeling a bit hungry, just snacky, not starving or anything, right? I just want a little snack. What about you, Mark? What happened at lunchtime yesterday?
About noon yesterday, I started feeling peckish and started thinking, ooh, what's for lunch? So in Kat's version, she said around lunchtime. I said about noon. Around and about have the same meaning. It's like close to, it's not specific. And lunchtime in the UK is the same. Noon, 12 o'clock, 1 or 2 p.m. That's lunchtime. So about noon yesterday, I started feeling peckish. And that's the British version of snacky, peckish. Peckish, again, means you want something small to eat. I'm not hungry enough for a big meal, but something small, maybe a bag of crisps or just some biscuits or something like that would fill me up. So peckish is another British word you'll hear more often in the UK. And I started thinking, ooh, what's for lunch? This is a question that we ask ourselves every single day when
Pretty
you
much.
check your
Yeah.
watch. It's
Ooh.
about
Ooh.
11, half 11 or 12. You're like, ooh, what's for lunch? It's a question you can ask yourself. It's a question you can ask other people. Say, oh, what's for lunch? Same with what's for breakfast, what's for dinner. But the most common one, I think, is, ooh, what's for lunch? You haven't thought about it yet. You haven't decided what you will eat. It's thinking out loud. Ooh, what's for lunch? It's an exciting question because you start thinking of all the things you could have. So back to your side of the script, Kat. What did you want for lunch?
Well, I wasn't really craving anything in particular, and I definitely didn't feel like cooking a full meal either. Now, we mentioned in American English feeling snacky, and in British English feeling peckish, so I don't want a full meal. But I couldn't decide. I wasn't really craving anything in particular. Sometimes we don't know what we want. I'm just hungry. I don't want anything in particular. I'm not craving anything in particular. When you're craving something, you really, really, really want to eat something. So I'm craving something. I'm not really craving anything. Okay, so look at the grammar here. I am craving something. Yes, I'm craving pizza. I'm craving something salty. I'm craving something sweet. But look, when we go to the past, I was craving something sweet. I was craving something salty. But now we've added not. I wasn't craving anything. Okay, so we changed the grammar a little bit. I wasn't really craving anything in particular. Pizza, no. Toast, no. Eggs, a meal? I don't know. So I wasn't really craving anything in particular, and I definitely didn't feel like cooking a full meal either. I feel like pizza. I feel like cooking. I don't feel like cooking. So I didn't feel like cooking a full meal either. Remember, I'm just snacky. I don't want meat, vegetable, salad. I don't want a full meal. So I didn't want this, and I didn't want this either. I wasn't really craving anything in particular, and I definitely didn't feel like cooking a full meal either. What about you, Mark? What did you want for lunch? Because I can't
Uh,
decide.
sure. Well, me neither. The fridge was virtually empty and I wasn't sure what I fancied, so I decided to get something delivered. So I also had a difficult decision because I opened the fridge, but the fridge was virtually empty. Empty, hello, means there is nothing inside. I said virtually empty.
Mm.
Virtually means almost empty. So, okay, maybe in the fridge there is some milk, one egg, and ketchup. That's not a meal. I can't make a meal with those ingredients. So it's virtually empty. I don't have enough to make a meal. So the fridge was virtually empty, and I wasn't sure what I fancied. Okay, yes. Fancy is a word you'll hear a lot in British English. I fancy a burger. Oh, I fancy McDonald's. Means I want that. And I wasn't sure what I fancied. So fancy is a verb. It's a regular one. I fancy it now. I fancied it yesterday. Well, we often use this verb when we talk about food. You're opening a menu and you're like, oh, what do I fancy? Or if you're asking someone else, oh, what do you fancy? Do you fancy the fish and chips? So fancy is a really common word we use with food in the UK. And I wasn't sure what I fancied. So I decided to get something delivered. So I opened a food app, maybe Uber Eats, Didi, Rappi. There's so many different ones. I decided to get something delivered. It's the passive voice. A delivery driver will deliver it to me. But if I'm the subject, I get it delivered. Or get some fries delivered. Get a meal delivered. Or get something delivered. Okay, back to your side of the script, Kat. You weren't sure what you wanted. Is there a grocery store or something near your house where you can get some things?
I thought about picking something up at the store, but I didn't want to deal with going out or spending too much money. Remember, I'm really indecisive right now. I really can't decide what I want. So I thought about, and we usually use this word about, especially with thinking. I thought about picking something up at the store. When we use this, we kind of talk about picking up something, pick it up off the ground. Picking up something at the store kind of sounds like I'm buying something, but not a lot of things. Just, can you pick this up at the store? Can you pick this up at the shop? I thought about picking something up at the store, but I didn't want to deal with going out. It sounds like
Fair
I'm being
enough.
really lazy, honestly. I didn't want to deal with, okay? If you don't want to deal with something, standing in line, getting in the car, driving down the road, getting stuck in traffic, you don't want to handle or deal with the problems, okay? Look, I don't want to deal with that. I'm tired. That would just create problems. So I'm not dealing with that. I'm not dealing with that. I didn't want to deal with going out or spending too much money. Do you ever just go to the grocery store to pick up a couple of things and then all of a sudden you've spent $100 and you're thinking, what? How did this happen?
Easy. Yeah.
So it happens. It happens. So I thought about picking something up from the store, but I didn't want to deal with going out or spending too much money. So it is near my house, but I didn't.
Oh, right.
That's the answer to your
Lazy
question.
lunch. Yeah, right. Lazy lunch,
Yeah.
easy lunch.
So you decided to get something delivered. How did you find something to eat?
Well, I started scrolling through some different restaurants until something jumped out at me. So remember, I wasn't sure what I fancied. Maybe hamburger, maybe salad, maybe this place. I'm not sure. But I have the food app on my phone. I started scrolling through. Scrolling through means there were many, many restaurants, and I'm going down the page, scrolling through some different restaurants until something jumped out at me. So I'm looking, and oh, that looks good. The food, the restaurant, jumped out at me. Like it got my attention and it made me hungry and interested. You can use this for food apps, or maybe you're looking at a menu and you're like, oh, the pie sounds good. It jumped out at me. Or maybe you're looking at hotels and you see, oh, on the beach, that one jumped out at me. So when you're looking for things or trying to make a decision, when one thing grabs your attention and looks really good, it jumped out at me. So yes, I was just scrolling. I wasn't sure what I fancied. And I found something. It jumped out at me. And I'll tell you what it is in a second. So, Kat, back to your side. We're not going to the grocery store and you're not cooking a full meal. So did you have any food left over from the night before, maybe?
Actually, there were some leftovers in the fridge, but I wasn't in the mood to eat the same thing again. And I really can't make a decision today. I really just can't decide
I
on
don't want
anything
this.
today.
I don't want that. Oh, no.
No,
Oh,
no,
no.
that doesn't
Oh,
sound good.
no.
No, not that
Oh,
either. No,
no.
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 So actually, there were some leftovers in the fridge, but I wasn't in the mood to eat the same thing again. So there were some leftovers. Leftovers are the extra food that you have left over from the meal before. So last night, I cooked some chicken and vegetables. I didn't finish all of the chicken. I didn't finish all of the vegetables. The chicken is left over from last night. The vegetables are left over from last night. Now they are left over, they are leftovers. So we can use them as the verb, it was left over, or we can use it as a noun, they are leftovers. So there were some leftovers in the fridge, but I wasn't in the mood to eat the same thing again. I
Picky,
sound
picky,
like a
picky.
brat.
Uh-huh.
I sound like a child. So picky, so picky.
Mhm.
I wasn't in the mood. I wasn't in the mood. If you are not in the mood to do something, you don't want to. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you're sad. Maybe you're just being lazy. I'm not in the mood. I'm not in the mood. And I'm not in the mood to do something. Now, I'm not in the mood to clean today. I'll do it tomorrow. So I can say I wasn't in the mood to eat the same thing again. Okay. So normally you have leftovers, you eat them again for lunch the next day, right? It's easy. There's nothing really to do. You simply reheat the leftovers. But after all this indecision, I wasn't in the mood to eat the same thing again.
It's like, oh, chicken and vegetables again.
Chicken and vegetables again. Oh, I'm not in the mood for chicken and vegetables.
Mhm.
So I'm not in the mood for the leftovers. I'm not in the mood to eat the leftovers. Okay. So to eat with the verb and for something. I'm not in the mood for this. I'm not in the mood for this.
It's funny. I do not have that problem. I can eat the same meal like 3 days straight, 3 days in a row.
Oh,
I don't mind. I'd rather do that
barely,
than cook
maybe
again.
2 meals in a row, maybe, but no, I'm not in the mood for that. Not in the mood for that. So, Mark, you had something that jumped out at you. What did you decide on in the end?
Well, I wasn't in the mood for fast food, so I kept looking until I saw a new place and some healthy looking grilled chicken salads. So I ordered one of those. So I used the same phrase. I wasn't in the mood for fast food. So fast food is a noun. So I wasn't in the mood for fast food. So I kept looking, I kept scrolling until I saw a new place, a new restaurant with some healthy looking grilled chicken salads. Obviously, on the app, I only have photos. I can look at the food and I can say, oh, that looks good, or that looks nice. And it was healthy looking, salty looking, nice looking, tasty looking. If you want to look at food or see a picture, that's the verb looking. So some healthy looking grilled chicken salads. Grilled chicken, not fried, so it's healthy looking. And I ordered one of those. When you click buy or select, you order it. The same verb on an app as the same verb in a restaurant. Can I order? Or are you ready to order? It's the same on a phone. I ordered my lunch. All right, so you don't want leftovers. You don't want to cook a full meal. You don't want to go to the shop. What did you decide to do in the end?
Well, so I kind of just stood there staring at the contents of my fridge, trying to decide. Again, I told you, I'm being a child, I'm being a brat. So, when you're a kid, you open up the fridge and you stand in front of the fridge looking at the contents of your fridge. And I always got yelled at for doing this, but I'm an adult now and I can do this in my own house. So I kind of just stood there staring at the contents of my fridge. Staring is looking without stopping. So if you're staring at someone, you don't look away. So can you imagine just opening your fridge and just
Just waiting
staring
for
at the
something to
contents?
jump out at you.
Exactly. I'm waiting for something to jump out at me. So I'm staring at the contents of my fridge, the items available. the things in my fridge. I'm staring at the contents of my fridge, trying to decide. So I kind of like the way that the grammar is. I just stood there. I stood there. Okay. But then while I was standing there, okay, I stood there. Other things are happening. I'm staring at the fridge. I'm trying to decide. I'm looking at the items. So I kind of just stood there staring at the contents of my fridge, trying to decide. Again, I have no idea what I'm going to end
It's
up
hard.
eating.
It's funny
There-
when sometimes you open the fridge and it's full of stuff, but you look at it and you're like, there's nothing in the fridge. Ugh,
Yeah.
there's nothing in the fridge. It's not true. There is food,
That's
but
not
it's
true at
nothing that
all.
I want. But yeah,
Yeah.
kids do this. They're like, oh, there's nothing to eat when the fridge is full of stuff. It's like, I don't
I
want
mean,
anything.
I still do that. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, me
Again,
too.
I'm being a brat. So, Mark, you ordered some food. Sounds actually quite healthy. Good choice. I maybe should have done that as well. Did it take long to arrive?
About half an hour later, I had my lunch in my hands. So about half an hour later, half an hour, 30 minutes. So I clicked order and then about or around half an hour later, I had my lunch in my hands. So in my hands, it was delivered to me. I could say I had my lunch at my door when they knock on the door and say, your food delivery. I had lunch at my door, or I had my lunch in my hands. The delivery driver gave it to me, and now I can eat it. Yeah, short and sweet. So back to your side again. What did you do in the end?
I know, cliffhanger, right? Eventually, I gave up and just made some toast and called it a day.
Wow.
Wow.
After
All
all
that,
that. Yeah.
all that trouble, all that trouble. So eventually, because remember, I just stood there staring, trying to decide, and eventually, or sometime later, eventually, I gave up. I don't know. I gave up. I have to eat something. At this point, I don't care anymore. Oh, I wasn't craving anything in particular. I'm not in the mood for this. You know what? Too bad. I give up. I give up. I'm not trying anymore. I'm not trying anymore to make myself happy. I gave up and just made some toast and called it a day. So, yes,
Nice.
we can toast bread, but we make toast. So, when I'm thinking of making toast, I'm thinking a slice of bread. I put it in the toaster, and then maybe I put some butter on it. Maybe I put some jam. Who knows? I just made some toast and called it a day. When you call it a day, you say, that's it. It's over. It's done. Let's call it a day. That means let's finish this. Let's stop doing this. All right, guys, let's call it a day. Okay. So I called it a day and I just ate some toast.
Or toast, right? You've spent enough time umming and ahhing.
That's
Toast.
enough.
Classic
That's
toast. You can't go
enough.
wrong
I'm
with
over
toast,
it. I'm
honestly.
over it.
Toast is reliable. You can always fall back on toast.
I know. I know. All right. So, Mark, your lunch sounds way better than mine. How was it in the end?
It was really filling. It really hit the spot, and I felt nicely fueled up for the afternoon. So yes, I got my healthy-looking grilled chicken salad. It was really filling, so I ate it and I felt full, and it really hit the spot. So again, I wasn't sure what I fancied, but I wanted something a bit healthy that's not fast food. It really hit the spot. When I ate it, I thought, yes, this is delicious, and this is what I wanted. I didn't know exactly what kind of food, but this grilled chicken was delicious, healthy, filling, perfect. It hit the spot. Maybe
Lucky
secretly I
you.
was craving. Yeah, it doesn't always happen, but sometimes when you just get the perfect meal at the right time, you're like, yes, that really hit the spot. Maybe I had some kind of secret cravings for it and I didn't realize. And I felt nicely fueled up for the afternoon. Usually we use fuel in your car or in an engine, but you can also talk about food as fuel for yourself. So maybe at lunchtime when I get hungry, my energy starts to go down. Then I eat something and, okay, I'm refreshed. I am fueled up. I have enough food in my stomach and enough energy to do some things in the afternoon. Maybe work, maybe go out, do some errands. I'm fueled up. So that means I've got this energy from this food and I feel good.
All right, now that we've gone through the vocabulary, let's hear those stories once more. So, around lunchtime, I started feeling a bit hungry, just snacky, not starving or anything. I really wasn't craving anything in particular, and I definitely didn't feel like cooking a full meal either. I thought about picking up something from the store, but I didn't want to deal with going out or spending too much money. Actually, there were some leftovers in the fridge, but I wasn't in the mood to eat the same thing again. So I kind of just stood there staring at the contents of my fridge, trying to decide. Eventually, I gave up and just made some toast and called it a day.
And here's my script one more time. About noon yesterday, I started feeling peckish and started thinking, oh, what's for lunch? But the fridge was virtually empty and I wasn't sure what I fancied, so I decided to get something delivered. I started scrolling through some different restaurants until something jumped out at me. I wasn't in the mood for fast food, so I kept looking till I saw a new place with some healthy-looking grilled chicken salads, so I ordered one of those. About half an hour later, I had my lunch in my hands. It was really filling, it really hit the spot, and I felt nicely fueled up for the afternoon.
All right, there we go. Lots and lots of useful vocabulary and phrases to help you talk about your lunchtime. Now it's your turn. Think about your lunch from today or from yesterday. What did you have? Did you make it or get something delivered?
Yeah, try to write some sentences using the vocabulary from this lesson.
Yes, please do. We read and reply to every single comment we get here on YouTube, so get in touch and practice with us.
Don't forget, if you want some more bonus materials for this episode and all of our previous episodes as well, this one is available in our Season 4 study pack. It has PDF transcripts, word lists, the picture dictionary, which is new, listening activities. They're all waiting for you in the link below.
Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time for another vocabulary episode here on High Level Listening.